Get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's luck to 200-200. This is the Ross Kaminsky Show. Now, Ross Kaminsky on Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW.
Well, good morning on this Thursday, or not such a good morning for those of you just waking up to this news, or just joining me to get your first news of the day. We had a terrible situation overnight in Thousand Oaks, California, which is a beautiful part of the state, about 20-30 minutes drive north of Malibu, at a country bar called Borderline. They apparently frequently have on Wednesdays a student night where they allow people under the age of 21 into the bar, mark their hands so they can't drink, and they do some line dancing and just hang out and have fun. There was a crowd there, apparently of at least a couple hundred people based on the early reporting that I've seen so far, and a masked gunman wearing apparently like a black bandana over his face, according to one eyewitness report that I've seen, a black hoodie, black pants. Again, early reporting, eyewitnesses definitely can be wrong. Opened fire with a handgun, killed 11 patrons, a 29-year sheriff's deputy who was planning to retire this year, and then took his own life, which is fine, except that he did all those other things. First, I want to go to Fox News, which has some audio clips of eyewitnesses and some other reporting. Could we take that, please, Shannon?
I hear some loud pop, 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 and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a joke.
I was looking at his gun, and it was a pistol, submachine gun with a short barrel.
Some guys that were next to me on the floor got up and started sprinting towards the back door and yelled at everyone, "Get up, run, he's coming."
A sheriff's sergeant among the 13 dead in an overnight shooting at a California bar. The sergeant was a 29-year veteran of the police force in Ventura County, California. He was said to be considering retirement this year. At least 18 others were hurt in the melee trying to get out of the club.
It happened, we're hearing, around 11:20 at night, Pacific time. Happened in the Thousand Oaks area, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, about 40 minutes away from LA. President Trump tweeted this: "I have been fully briefed on the terrible shooting in California. Law enforcement and first responders, together with the FBI, are on the scene. 13 people at this time have been reported dead. Likewise, the shooter is dead, along with the first police officer to enter the bar. Great bravery shown by police. California Highway Patrol was on the scene within 3 minutes, with first officer to enter shot numerous times. That sheriff's sergeant died in the hospital. God bless all of the victims and families of the victims. Thank you to law enforcement."
Jonathan Hunt has been covering this story all morning long, and he joins us live with some breaking details. Jonathan, we're beginning to learn about the gunman.
Yes, Steve, Brian Ainsley, no formal ID given to us yet. What we are being told, though, from eyewitnesses is that he was a young man in his 30s, or in or around 30. According to those witnesses, he was carrying one semi-automatic handgun, and according to some of the witnesses, he also threw at least one smoke grenade as he came into the Borderline Bar and Grill. According to those witnesses, his first victim was an unarmed security guard right at the front door, and then he just kept picking off those closest to him. The witnesses that we have spoken to say he did not appear to have specific targets, but was simply shooting anybody who he could find anywhere near him. And that bar and grill was packed last night. It was college night. A lot of young people were packed on the dance floor when they first heard the shots, a lot of them dropping to the ground and then fleeing for their lives. Bar stools were used to break windows. A lot of them rushed out the back door. And as they rushed out the back door, Sheriff Sergeant Ron Heelis rushed in the front door. He was the first on scene within 3 minutes of the first 911 calls. The shooting was still going on. He did not hesitate. He went straight into the through the front door, came face to face with the shooter, who shot him multiple times. He died from those wounds later in the hospital, and Sheriff Jeff Dean then paid tribute to his lost colleague. Listen here.
Sergeant Hillis was on the force for 29 years, was looking to retire in the next year or so. He died a hero because he went in to save lives, to save other people.
Now, we are getting various descriptions of the shooter from eyewitnesses, but the Sheriff's Department has not released any details officially. We believe that the shooter was not carrying an ID, so they will be IDing him, one assumes, through a fingerprint check. We'll get that all that information. As I say, we have various descriptions. We are in no rush to put those out. Obviously, a lot of those things turn out not to be accurate in the initial hours after these kind of events, so we're not going to rush.
All right, we'll keep an eye on Fox News and other news outlets as well, and bring you more updates as we have them. This just happened around, I think it was around midnight our time, give or take, a little bit. President Trump has sent out a couple of tweets this morning within the past half an hour or so. They say, "I've been fully briefed on the terrible shooting in California. Law enforcement and first responders, together with the FBI, are on scene. 13 people at this time have been reported dead. Likewise, the shooter is dead, along with the first police officer to enter the bar. Great bravery shown by the police. California Highway Patrol was on scene within 3 minutes, with first officer to enter, shot numerous times. That sheriff sergeant died in the hospital. God bless all of the victims and families of the victims. Thank you to law enforcement." So I'm not sure regarding the president's numbers and use of highway patrol versus sheriff and all that, but in any case, the president awake. He's always awake early, paying attention to this terrible story. Again, the one victim name that we know is Sergeant Ron Heelis, reported as a 29-year veteran of the Sheriff's Department there, and as I mentioned, Ventura County Sheriff, was planning on retiring this year. He's got a wife, he's got a child, and just terrible. I sent a tweet out this morning. Not that tweets really matter very much, but what I said was, and I'm just still thinking about it, as the parent of a son and daughter who will soon be in high school and then probably college, days like this are beyond frightening. They are nearly incomprehensible, and this is a key point to me that I just want to think about for a minute there. Days like this are full of very hard questions, but the more I think about these questions, whether or not we get answers, I keep coming away from these conversations believing that the answers don't matter very much. And again, as a parent, my kids are 10 and 12. So not too far away. Not too far away from the kind of age where they could be at one of these things. Again, this was college night at this bar. So they had people, and this is something that goes on every Wednesday, and a lot of people who were there are there every Wednesday, and they allow people as young as 18, and they just mark their hands so they can't drink if they're under 21, and everyone just goes and has a good time. And I'm not a kind of person who lives in fear as a general matter. And yet as a parent, how do you not at least a little bit? And it does sure seem like these things are happening more often, and I'm very careful In fact, I need to probably do a little research, but I tend to be very careful to avoid what Daniel Kahneman called the availability heuristic, meaning I try to be very careful to avoid the mental shortcut that causes people to believe that something that happened recently is something that is more probable than it actually is, right? In other words, especially with bad events, people will often think that if something happened recently, it'll be fresher in their mind, and they think, therefore, that it's more likely to happen. If something terrible happened in the past 6 months, your brain might work even subconsciously to say this is the kind of thing that happens every 6 months. Or this is the kind of thing. But if it happened in the past 6 months or in the past 6 hours, but hadn't happened for the previous 10 years or 20 years, your brain might not say this only happens once every 20 years. It might say this happens, or this is too common, or something like that. But despite my doing the best I can to not succumb to that data error, it sure does feel like these things are happening more often. You add in the Pulse nightclub, and we know why that happened. That was an Islamo-fascist who was probably gay and hating himself because of it, going to kill gay people. But does it really matter exactly? This is the key. Okay, let me get back then to my key. Does it really matter if we know the answer? Does it really matter if we know that the Pulse shooter went in to kill them because they were gay? Does it really matter when we find out why this person did what he did? How much difference does it make to know why? The reason that it's theoretically important to know why is if knowing why somehow helps us prevent it from happening the next time. And I guess there's a chance that it might. And I'm not saying we shouldn't try to have all the information that we can and learn about this guy and try to figure out why he did what he did, just like with the Tree of Life synagogue shooting, a virulent anti-Semite. As I said, the Pulse nightclub, a virulent anti-gay Islamo-fascist. We have no idea why this happened today. But here's what I want to know. And I'm not saying there's no answer here, okay? I'm not saying there's no answer. How does it help us to know why the Pulse nightclub shooter or the Tree of Life shooter, or hopefully at some point we'll know why this guy did what he did? How does it help us to know? I guess the threshold question is, does it help us to know? Well, in a certain sense, I guess we feel better when we understand. We feel better when we understand than when we don't understand. Gives us a little more sense of a feeling of control, right? But does it help stop the next one? I'm skeptical about that. I'm skeptical. Maybe some small chance, and I mentioned this in a Ross report the other day, maybe some small chance that there is some nut out there who shares some of the views, the hatred of gays or the hatred of Jews, or just whatever it was that drove this guy. I have no idea. Maybe there's something that we learn that causes other Americans to be more aware and alert, and to make it just ever so slightly more likely that if somebody really is a danger, that someone else might notice it first and might somehow stop them or talk to the police or do something. That, I think, is the one potential upside. Mostly, I think we're living in a world with very, very hard questions and very few answers that truly matter. Although any answer that makes the people who are close to the situation, any answer that makes them feel better is okay with me. Boy, these are hard stories to wake up to. I mean, as tired as we might all be of politics or elections or Donald Trump, man, I'd rather have another ridiculous Trump story any day than a story about a young person having fun being killed by a madman. And yet here we are again. And all the anti-gun people are going to go do what they're going to do, and I'm not going to say anything more about that right now. And there'll be some talk about mental health when we learn about this guy. Hard to imagine exactly what form of blankism or blank phobia would cause somebody to go into a country music bar full of 18 to 30-year-olds. Don't really like speculating about these things. And if I were going to speculate, I would just say I would speculate that he's just insane. I mean, they all are. They all are. But as I think about my kids who are still at home in bed right now, and I think about what's their life going to be? Are they going to live in fear? Am I going to live in fear for them? Let me grab a quick phone call. Hey, Kent, you're on with Ross. I got about 45 seconds. What you got?
Good morning. I think this is pretty simple, really. It's tragic, and we can blame it back to this political correctness. People are feeling pushed. They're feeling shoved. I can't do this because of this person. I can't do this because of this government policy. I can't do this. Now, you get somebody that's feeling that he can't do something or he shouldn't do something or he can't even have certain thoughts. And then his wife is mad at him. He loses his job. He can't make his house payment. What does he have to lose?
Kent, I'm out of time. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to say I think you're assuming things that you just simply don't know. We'll be right back.
This report is sponsored by your local Ford store.
I can tell you the drive right now, making your way around town, not doing too bad. I-25, both north and southbound. You'll have some minor delays as you work your way out. As far as the traffic flow itself, moving smooth. I-25 southbound at Thornton Parkway. Had some insulation that fell off a truck and kind of got ground up, and it's really spread across all lanes. So be aware that's an area to kind of keep an eye on here this morning as you make your way out. Overall, though, it looks like I-70 is in good shape. 225's checking clear. No major problems as you make your way out here so far. Clouds this morning, patchy fog.